Okay folks, a quick video to show the assembly of the new 5-volt power option. The old one used to use the LM31705. The new one, if I can get this to focus, uses the LM317. So we're going to install it down here in this lower section right here, U2. And then you may, if it will focus, be able to see a 240 and a 680 there. Those are the two resistors that provide a voltage divider for this LM317. Now, I know that those are marked 270 and 680. It turns out those are the numbers that are given on the data sheet to get 5 volts out of an LM317, but it turns out that you don't actually get exactly 5 volts out of it when you use those values. There are other values that give you a little bit better value, so what we actually supply in the kit is a 330 and a 1K resistor. Okay, now hopefully you can see, not that it'll focus, but hopefully you can see that that is a 330 and a 1K just from reading the bands. But I recommend never trusting your eyes. Always take your meter. Oops, stand back up there, boy. And pardon my weird clips here, and go ahead and hold the resistor across the leads. Now notice that I'm not holding the resistor like this, where my fingers would be touching both of the leads, because if I do, I'll get all kinds of interesting readings. I'm only holding it on one side, okay? And we're getting 330-ish. Let me move the camera just a tad so you can see that. 330-ish. So the 330 resistor goes in the holes. We'll go ahead and bend the leads here. And it goes into the holes for the 240 on the board here. Okay, whoops, turn it around. Doing this through the camera viewfinder, which is confusing my vision something fierce. Okay, that's not going to work. So that goes in where the 240 is. So that's the lower value resistor in the pair. And then this other one, obviously, is going to end up being the 1K. Well, let's just check to make absolutely certain. Okay, pretty darn close. So we know that that's the 1K. Stay. Meters work better if you talk to them. Oh, great. Futz. Okay, so that goes into the set of holes that say 630. Doing a great job of framing on this video. Okay, so here we are. And let's just kind of try to make that a little bit neat. There should be some kind of a videographer's law that nothing ever goes smoothly once you turn the camera on. Okay, so let's go ahead and solder those in place then. And again, the general rules for soldering: you want your iron to be as hot as possible. We want to get the iron on, get the joint heated up as quickly as possible, and then get back off of it as quickly as possible. So firm, steady pressure, little solder, and back off. Okay. Now, I notice that I've only soldered one side, and I'm going to check the positioning of everything. That's not the neatest job that I've ever done. I'm going to just pull this lead through a little bit in order to level those out a little bit more. I like things to be neat on the boards that I build. Again, that's the 330 installed in the 240 slot and the 1K installed in the 680. And now that we have those soldered on the one side and we have them positioned nicely, we'll go ahead and solder them on the other side. Okay, now see, I wasn't able to get it to wet, but I don't stay on it. get back off again, give it a chance to cool, and get back on there again. Okay. There we go. Not sure why that one doesn't want to wet. Might have been a little bit of futz on the pad. That does happen. Okay. I'll wait for a moment for the leads to cool down, and then holding the leads, go ahead and snip them off. Why do we hold the leads? So that they don't go flying off and blind you or somebody that you're working with. Okay. I always keep the spare leads. They make for nice jumpers and things like that. And then here's the LM317. We're just going to install this with the tab away from the rest of the board, like this. You can see the outline there. That's how it goes. And generally should be fine right there. If you're going to mount this to something else, or onto a heatsink, which you shouldn't need to do, but if you're going to mount a heatsink on it, you might want to leave a little bit more lead so that you can bend that over and get it in contact with a nice heatsink. And again, I'm going to very quickly get on there, good pressure, wet it, get back off again. Solder one pin, check the positioning of the parts, make sure that it is correct. Solder a pin a little ways away from that one. Oh, come on. There we go. Okay. Make sure that the solder joints are good. And clip the leads. So if you burn your fingers when you grab onto the leads, that means that you didn't spend enough time checking the position of the part. And that's pretty much it. That's the only thing that you have to do for that 5-volt option. We are finished. Now at this point, keep in mind that this means that we'll be supplying this circuit will now supply the logic 5 volts instead of it being supplied here from the PN in MO connector. Notice that we do not have J7 installed here. You can, that just couples it to this pin right here, but it's not necessary. Instead, it's going to get 5 volts when you connect your VM plus over here. This is your motor power supply. Motor power supply and ground. When you hook that up, then this regulator will pop into life and give us our logic 5 volts for the chip when we solder it on. Haven't soldered the chip on this particular board yet, but that does mean that the logic power supply will come up an instant after your voltage is applied to the motor. But with the THB6064AH chip, that is not a problem. It won't kill the chip. Unlike the TB6560s, which is a horrible design flaw. They were never, well, not necessarily a design flaw, but a design flaw for the way that they are typically being used on these cheap boards from China. They were never designed to be used. Oh, look at that. They were never designed to be used in a system where the motor power supply would come on before the logic power supply. That will cause a TB6560 to burn out one time in every X power-ups. Okay, so I think we're done here. I'm going to go ahead and go on and solder on the chip, and I'm going to try out a new option down here, which is available on the V1.2 boards. Thanks for watching.